you were able to join us this morning. We are so excited to bring David P. Lind Benchmark, and in particular, David will be presenting to us today. And I'll tell you something that, KHI is always looking for a way to add value to you, our agents, so that you can add value to your clients. And we're so excited about some of the enhancements that David has made to his program. When we started with David, just over a year ago, we were working with him to provide a benchmark study. And since then, he's launched an online tool, which is absolutely fantastic. Some of you may have seen it before. For those of you that haven't, David's going to walk us through. And I hope what you're continuing to think about during this webinar is, how can I leverage this with my clients to provide more value? And ultimately, I think you'll see on here, possibly sell more products, because you're going to see where there might be some deficiencies with a client in terms of what they're offering their employees to provide a great benefit package in terms of being able to attract and retain really great talent. So we are so excited to have David with us this morning. So with that, David, let me go ahead and turn it over to you and launch the program. And again, if I can ask everybody, if you've got questions, just go ahead and type them up or jot them down, and then we'll open it up to questions at the end. So David, go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much, Lynn, and welcome to all of you on a Monday morning. And I so much appreciate the fact that you are with us, and just to listen to a brief overview of the program that Lynn and I would like to show you. A little bit about David P. Lind Benchmark, just to kind of give you an idea of why I developed the Lindex Online program. My organization is an independent organization that focuses on scientifically based research to provide credible, reliable, and objective information to assist decision makers, both private and public employers and policymakers, on employee benefits. And we have been performing the Iowa Employers Benefit Study annually for the last, actually we're in the process of finishing up on our 17th annual study. And this study has allowed me, in my past as a consultant, I used to take this information and help our clients benchmark their benefit plans to our Iowa Employer Benefit Study. And if you're aware of Pavlov's response, where the dinner bell rings and the dog salivates, that is what's happened with our clients. Once the clients learned that our study was out again, they would now ask, well, how do we compare to the most recent results of the Iowa Employer Benefit Study? So what I would like to do, and hopefully on your screen in front of you we have an introduction. I would like to actually discuss 5 different things. First of all, perform a brief online demonstration of the Lindex Online, which is the new innovative benefits benchmarking tool that Lynn had briefly mentioned. After that, I would like to just show you what a sample benchmark would look like, when something that you could actually print out on your, after you develop it on the benchmark program online, print it out and you would give to your client and actually present it to your client. And thirdly, I would like to talk a little bit about the Lindex score, because once you benchmark your client to our benefits, your client will be assigned a Lindex score, which will help them better understand how they compare to other employers when it comes to the benefit package that they offer. Number 4, and this is what KHI Solutions has been doing for really the last year, is to actually gain access to the Iowa Employer Benefit Study for agents to actually have their name and their client name on the inside of the cover, and that agent can provide that to their client. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about the cost of the Lindex Online program and what that value proposition means to you as well as to your client. And this is something that is highly unusual. In fact, the Lindex Online is only specific to the state of Iowa, and I have worked on getting this, well, we have a trademark for it as well as a patent pending. So this is a highly unique product specifically to Iowa employers and to you, the broker and agent. So What I would like to do is just briefly do a demonstration of the Lindex Online and how you would access this program. Lynn, I hope, can you see my, my website?
Yes, I have it up. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. On our website, which is dplindbenchmark.com, there is a client portal login. And as an agent who would qualify through KHI, you would be able to just press this login, and you would be taken, you would have to set up your own password, and you would then have access to performing benchmarks, and we can talk more specifically about that later on. But what I would like to do is just get into the program itself and what it would look like once you are logged in. And this particular, all of you should now see on your screen a dashboard for Lindex Online. And this is for a fictitious group called Jones International, which I set up just to give you an idea of how we can benchmark Jones International. Let's say Jones is your client against the study results from 2014. And you'll see that on the left side, Jones International has a Lindex score of 95, and Iowa has an index score of 74. Basically, because we've already preloaded this, we already know what Jones Lindex score is, but when you first set up your client, this number would be 0 because you haven't loaded the benefits of your client into the Lindex Online program. But in order to load your client, you would have to go to one of the 4 sidebar menus, and we would go into the questionnaire. And please bear with me as we're doing this, because I'm actually on a remote site and sometimes my connection is not the greatest. But now you should see the screen that says eligibility for benefits. Can you see that, Lynn?
Yep, got it.
Perfect. Okay, so this screen actually is a very important one because you would begin loading information on your particular client, in this case Jones International, and I just put down that it's privately held, or it could be any of the others mentioned here. And you would need to indicate how many full-time Iowa-based employees are currently employed by this organization, and we put in 320. And then item number 3 of the questionnaire is probably the most important part, and that would be to put yes or no for each of the different benefits on whether or not your client offers those benefits. And so as you start clicking yes or no throughout, now Lynn, I cannot see on the right-hand side of my screen the Lindex score because I have the webinar information on it. But there is a save button to the upper right that you would need to save once you make all of these changes. And once you've finished this particular page, you would not need to complete the part-time, which is number 4, because we haven't loaded part-time employees within the Lindex application at this point. We're only concerned about full-time employees. But once you save this page, then you would be able to then go into the other benefits that are being offered by your client and answer questions such as life insurance. Is it a flat amount, or is it a multiplier of salary? In this case it is, and it's 1.5 times the salary of the employee. And then you would save it on the upper right-hand part of this application and then move on to the next part of the benefits that you would need to reply or respond on behalf of your client. And so as you can see all the way throughout, long-term disability, traditional leave plans, such as vacations, sick leave, personal days, company holidays. There's a lot of data in here for you to actually learn more about your client, asking them specific questions about the type of benefits they offer. This can actually be to your benefit. And even though it might be a little time-consuming to complete this questionnaire, you will eventually, as you print out the PDF report and share it with your client, you will come across as the expert on how your client compares to other employers within Iowa. Dental insurance, you would complete information about how much the employee contributes, what the premiums are, many of the different features within the dental program, such as deductibles and how much the plan pays for preventive care, basic care, major care, orthodontic coverage, what are the maximums for orthodontics. All of this information you complete and save. And retirement. In this particular case, Jones International has a 401k plan. The employer pays 20% of the first 10% of what the employee contributes. So there's just different prompts within this questionnaire that you would need to complete in order to make sure that you will adequately or accurately reflect your client's Lindex score, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Health insurance, a number of questions dealing with the different benefits that the employer has through health insurance, such as the premiums, the employee contributions, the deductibles, the co-pays, how much the office co-pays are, prescription drug co-pays, many different features within the health plan itself. And again, I cannot see this on the screen, but on the upper right-hand side, as we all know, employers may offer 2 or 3 or 4 different plans. So then once you're done, putting in the name of the first plan, in this case it was Plan 1, you can then save everything that you put, and then you can start another plan and do the same thing for another plan, because all of those plans then will show up in the PDF report that you will share with that client. So when you're done with the questionnaire, you would want to go back to the sidebar menus, and you could go down to benchmarking. And this is the fun part. This is the part that I think you would really enjoy once you have completed the questionnaire, which again is the critical part. And again, on the right-hand side, I cannot play with the features such as the various filters that we have, but for the summary of benefits, this actually shows how your client, in this case Jones International, whether they offer these benefits or not, and it's compared to the overall study. In 2014, we had 1,002 employers, which is amazing. They're randomly selected within our study, so it's very scientific. And this represents the percentage of employers that offer those benefits. And then because Jones, when we set Jones International up as a client, they were in the healthcare and social services industry, so by default, we're comparing Jones to the healthcare and social services industry that they're in. And we had 142 respondents within our study during that year, and it gives the percentage of those benefits that are being offered within that particular industry. One feature that is really a cool feature through this program is to then develop filters whereby you can select other particular industries to compare your client with, whether it be manufacturing, finance, government, retail. There's like 6 or 7 different industries. And then you can even compare it to different size categories of employers to see how they compare. And again, my apologies, I cannot get to that because
David?
those, yes.
Yeah, go ahead. There's an orange arrow. Try to hit that orange arrow, and it'll make it smaller.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to show you a real quick comparison of how Jones might look to if we apply a filter, and I just clicked on Apply Filters, and then I clicked the Filter Radio button, and I want to compare Jones to all employers all sizes combined, although we could compare it to the different size categories of employees. Actually, we're going to look at the 50 to 249 because Jones is in that category. I put in, you can type in whatever zip code you wish to type in for where this group resides. I put in the Clive zip code of 50325, and by default it provides a 50-mile radius. So I will apply the filter, and what it will do then, it will load the different types of features that we want to compare Jones with. And it will tell you that it's obviously loading and the calculations are being made. And again, because my information or my contact through the internet is probably a little bit slower than usual. I apologize that we're having to wait this long, but I will tell you that the type of browser that this program is best used would be through the Google Chrome. I use this with the Google Chrome, and it just seems to be faster, and all the pages look the way they should be looked versus some of the other options. Although Firefox it does quite well on as well. So there we go. Now what we've done is we're comparing Jones to there were 54 organizations within a 50-mile radius of Clive, where Jones resides, where their business is, and it shows you how many the percentage of employers within that category offer that coverage. And you can go to any of these other benefits, such as health insurance, and it will then show you how the monthly billed premiums for Jones looks compared to the overall study and compared to the filtered selection that we just made. And we can look at employee contributions, we can look at deductibles, office copays, prescription drug copays, and out-of-pocket maximums. So there are, again, so many different features that this provides through the filtered approach. This happens to be through traditional leave and all the different variables based on how long the employee has been employed with the employer. A lot of information, a lot of detailed information that can be a great benefit to employers, and it allows you, the agent, to become a better expert on what is that employer currently offering, and you can help guide them and perhaps find new ways to get them in the direction of where they would like to go. So what I would like to do now is I would like to now switch over to what that benchmark would look like if you converted what I just showed you into a PDF. This particular PDF for Jones International is about 38 pages long. And the first page really kind of describes a little bit about the process of the survey. And it shows Jones International and their Lindex score of 95. And again, we'll get into the Lindex score. At the bottom left of each page, we would actually have the KHI logo on each page. So it becomes more of a personalized benchmark on your behalf through KHI. And then again, I'm just going to scroll. Yes.
This is Lynn. I think we did also talk about, depending on if the agent has a logo and maybe being able to customize this for that agent, their clients won't necessarily know who KHI is. So maybe that's something that we can talk about also.
Yes, and that would be something that, thanks for reminding me on that, Lynn. That's something I would need to work with my web programmer to make sure that, if there's some way that we can get that in there, we will certainly attempt to do that. So, absolutely. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about the study itself and how the agent and their client name will be on the inside cover, too. But this, again, I'm just scrolling through to give you an idea of what this benchmark does, and this is something that you can keep on file on behalf of that client, but also you can print it off and give it to that client, and really provide more consultative counsel on some of the things that they might consider doing within the marketplace based on the benefits that they currently offer. So if one of the other things that we provide and we develop ourselves is the actual printed study. And this is the study that KHI has used for many of their brokers. And this is happens to be a slide that a study through Lynn for a group called Metalworks. And we would go ahead and insert that information on the inside cover regarding KHI and the agent name and their client name, and this whole study would then be provided to your particular client. And this is an overview of the overall study itself. It isn't by industry, but it just gives the client a really good, a professional understanding of what's happening in Iowa regarding trends on various types of benefits. And I won't belabor by just going through each page. I just wanted to give you a really good, quick overview of how this looks. And again, it's very professionally done. The amazing thing about this, the reason why we have this study made up, is that when we randomly select employers to participate in our studies, employers, as a thank you, we provide them with a copy of this report. And I am absolutely amazed at how many times I am contacted, whether by email or by phone, from employers around the state, regardless of size, asking if they can participate in the study so that they can get a copy of this report. It's come to that point where we have to be very careful that we cannot promise that the employer can be invited to participate in the study, because they have to be randomly selected. So it is a very valuable piece without exception. So apologize for kind of going back and forth here, but I want to just get a little bit more into the Lindex score itself. And Lynn, can you see the page that now says answer these questions?
Not quite. We're a little delayed here. I'm still sitting on, we're looking at the dental insurance from the study itself. So it'll take just a moment.
Oh, okay.
And maybe I could just add, just while we're waiting, and I'll let you know as soon as the page populates. But, you know, and now I think it's starting to show up. So make sure, and you'll see this when we get to the rating at the end, is the actual study that we were just looking at, and then the online access and the reports that can generate, and the PDF that you can get out of that by getting online access. So those are two products, if you will, that we're going to be talking about, and I'll let you go from there, because now we've got to answer these questions up. Go ahead, David.
Great, great. Okay. With the Lindex online program, there are actually three things that you would get. You would be able to go online and set up your client and benchmark your client, as I briefly demonstrated, and then you would have a PDF of that benchmark that you can share with your client. Along with that, your client receives a Lindex score, and that Lindex score is extremely beneficial for the client to have a really good understanding of how they compare to other employers. And I want to use myself as an example. Many years ago, well, 4 years ago, I sold my consulting practice, and now I'm just strictly research. But prior to going solo with just research, we had a different type of benchmarking program for our clients, and once the new study came out, we would share with our clients how their benefits compared to the newest study. And invariably, it'd be maybe 25 to 35 pages of various benefits, kind of like what I showed you. At the very end of sitting down with the client would say something to the effect, "This information is extremely valuable. So overall, how do we compare to other employers?" We never had the Lindex score or anything that would help the employer better understand just how competitive they were within the marketplace. So that's what really prompted me to come up with an index of what that benefits package, how rich that benefit package is compared to the overall study. So what I'd like to do in the next few minutes is just answer a few quick questions on the Lindex, such as what is it, how is it calculated, why use it, how to use it, how to obtain, interpret, and improve your score, and can you trust the Lindex? So first of all, what is it? The Lindex score is an index based on a very complex algorithm that we came up with scores ranging from 0 to 100. You'll notice in the upper right-hand part of your screen, you'll see a 74. 74 is the average Lindex score in Iowa from our 2014 study. And you will see 4 different colors of the quartiles. The left quartile in red is the lowest quartile, lower numbers. That means the benefit scores are less than the green scores, which are on the right, which are the highest scores. So what our intent is just to show employers how they compare to the average on that particular gauge. Now, the Lindex score originates from our annual Iowa Employer Benefit Study. Our benefit study is updated every August and September. So we'll be coming out with our 2015 Iowa Benefit Study and Lindex score sometime in later August and early September. The Lindex measures the availability of benefits, cost, employee preferences, both financial and emotional security. So it's really looking at it from the employee perspective. How good are these benefits? And finally, it's a simple measurement tool that distills voluminous and complicated data into one relevant number to provide added clarity to both the employer and, frankly, to you, the agent. So how is it calculated? I'm not going to get into the real complications of it because some of it myself, it's pretty overwhelming. But it uses data from our Iowa Employer Benefit Study, and it's really a relativity comparison. If you were to take all 1,002 employers from our 2014 study and put their benefit packages side by side, we would have, on the left, we would have those employers with the least benefits, and then to the very right, those employers with the most benefits. And so what we're doing is when we take your client and benchmark your client, we're finding a slot to put your client compared to all the other 1,002 employers who responded in our most recent study. So it's a relativity comparison. And a variety of factors that determine the score would be a healthy balance of key benefits that are offered, such as paid time away from work, health coverage, retirement and income protection, and well-being initiatives. Believe it or not, we even factored in if the employer offers like a wellness program. We will actually, that will impact the Lindex score, not by a lot, but it does provide some kind of weighted value to it. We also consider the employee preferences of key benefits that are weighted, such as the financial and emotional security. Through previous studies that we've performed and even looking at national studies, we continue to monitor which benefits are most important to employees. And then we will use weights on those benefits to determine why, for example, health insurance is more necessary and valuable to employees over, let's say, vision insurance or some other type of coverage that's just not as perceived, I guess, by employees. And then the employee responsibility for costs, such as premiums and cost sharing, such as deductibles. Those are also factored into the calculation of the Lindex score. If the employee pays less through payroll deduction, then the Lindex score will be a little bit better than if the employee has to pay more. So why use it? Why use the Lindex? It does adapt to the changing environment, and we all know that employers continue to alter their benefits every year. They're forced to just due to sheer cost. And as benefit offerings change, employers will understand their competitive position at all times. So as the new Lindex comes out, the new study comes out, the employer then knows, okay, now we need to compare our benefits to the most recent information to see, are we falling behind on our Lindex score, or maybe we're greatly ahead. Maybe our number is so much greater than the average Lindex score, and we might want to look at things a little bit differently on maybe how we can lower our Lindex score, believe it or not. And some employers wish to do that. It also allows employers to compare their overall benefit offering to other employers annually, and that's what I really mentioned earlier. So how to use it? It's a recruiting tool from the employer perspective. It is a very objective tool that can attract and retain desired employees. We developed a sample notification that the employer can use to share with their employees on what their Lindex score is and how it compares to other employers in various industries as well as various size categories. And if employers, if your client has a high Lindex score compared to the overall Lindex score, the employer may want to tout it with their employees. And they're using it as, and they're getting this information from a very objective resource, both David P. Lynn Benchmark and you, the agent. It's also a strategic planning tool. The Lindex can be used to determine whether benefit changes are required to become more competitive based on the culture of the organization. There have been some employers that had very high Lindex scores, but they did not want to share with their employees because they were concerned that the employees would say, well, that's great, but you know what? Offer us less benefits and give us more money. So it becomes more of a strategy from the employer when they're making decisions about what they wish to do with benefits. They may not want to share their Lindex score with the employees, but it will allow them to continue to alter their benefits based on what other employers are doing. Again, based on our updated study each year. So how do you obtain the score? I showed you earlier that you would have to purchase an Lindex online subscription or a benchmark in order to benchmark a client, and that's through our proprietary web-based tool. And employers actually can purchase the Lindex online directly without going through an agent or a broker, and they have certainly done so, but the cost of it is considerably more than the cost of going through, for example, KHI Solutions. And then this is the website regarding the benchmark information. And much of this information I have provided to KHI, so if you wish to have copies or PDF copies, then I'm sure maybe you can pass those on to your agents.
You bet.
How to interpret your score? Very quickly, the score ranges from 0 to 100. The higher score will indicate more comprehensive benefits, and employers can compare their Lindex score to the overall statewide average, to employer size categories based on number of employees and certain industries. An example would be if your client Lindex score of 68 might appear to be somewhat low compared to the statewide average of 74, but if it is above the average score for similar organizations based on size and industry, it could be a very competitive Lindex score. So, here's the thing from your perspective as an agent on how you can help your clients and possibly find new ways to add more business to your accounts. By using this tool, you can actually help the employer model into a desired score. And the modeling score is available through, again, brokers, consultants, advisors such as KHI. And the score is recalculated every year based on, again, the study. But the real cool thing about the Lindex score is that if your client's score is low, then you can actually model into adding maybe certain benefits such as dental coverage. If they are not offering dental and you were to go into the Lindex online site and added dental and then you saved it, it will update the Lindex score to show you what impact that would do to your client's Lindex score. And you can share that information with them and give them some ideas of what they might want to do to get their score up to be more competitive. And also, frankly, by making no changes to benefits for an employer, their score most likely will change based on how other organizations respond to our studies. So if other organizations are continuing to raise deductibles and raise employee contributions and things like that, or dropping benefits, and your client doesn't do anything with their benefits during that year, your client's Lindex score by default might be going up because it's all about comparability. So the Lindex score in 2014 was 74, and this particular slide, it shows by industry, and it gives you an idea of how industries compare to one another based on Lindex scores. The retail happens to be a laggard industry, and they averaged at 65. And you can see healthcare, for-profit, manufacturing, all the way up to not-for-profit and government being in the 80s. Likewise, as I think all of us know this, but the smaller the employer, the less likely they are to offer benefits, or they offer fewer benefits. And so you'll see the smaller employers have a lower Lindex score compared to the larger employers. And that's very intuitive, but it just goes to show you that this does make a lot of sense in how we have calculated this out. So can you trust the Lindex? Again, it's determined from the results of our annual Iowa Employer Benefits Study, which it's scientifically driven. We feel very good about the statistical sample that we take on an annual basis. It provides a great deal of confidence that the results accurately reflect the entire Iowa employer community. And since 1999, over 12,000 organizations in Iowa have been interviewed for our study. So that's just a real quick overview of the Lindex score and the importance of why you would want to use this for your clients. And so I'm kind of at the tail end here, and I appreciate your patience. And now what I would like to do is share the price list. And Lynn, I would like to have your input on this as well.
You bet.
Yeah,
as David's pulling it up there, many of you recall that we were giving a complimentary copy of the Iowa Employer Benefits Study. So as David has referred to, it's the compilation of all of the over 1,000 employers across Iowa. It's their results. That's what it is. And he showed you a sample of that earlier in the presentation. And anyone can go online to David's website and purchase that. And it's a PDF document that would get emailed to them uniquely for each employer. This is not where it's customized for each employer. So you buy one for every employer. And so we've said to our agents, we realize that's a $300 value that anybody can go online to David's site to get. But working in partnership with David as we look to provide value to you guys, we've said we will buy that for you, for your clients, for any employer group that you have through KHI, as long as It'll be complimentary, and we pay a different number based on how many we're ordering. So we have an arrangement here. If you work through us and you really want to talk with Nakia or Tricia in our office about this, because those are the two then that will go and communicate with David and say, okay, we've got this agent for this client wants to order a study, and then we keep track whether we're paying David $150 or $100 for each study. Now, in this, as you can tell, we've got our partnership with KHI Agent 2. You have to work with KHI for all your medical and ancillary carriers. You would receive a complimentary copy of the study for each group, 50 or more. It'd be complimentary. Now, if you don't run all your carriers through KHI, or maybe it's a small group, but it's something strategic that you want to be able to provide, then at least we can pass along to you our rate. So we would get that for $150 or $100, depending on how many we'd ordered, but we would just say, we'll give that to you or sell that to you, if you will, at $150. So it still makes sense to come through KHI to get a copy of that study. So as you can tell, we're trying to encourage agents to have all their business through KHI. We're not out necessarily looking to bring on, 500 more agents. Let's work with the ones that we have, but let's try to consolidate and get as many lines of business to come through KHI as we can. And so by offering this benefit to all those that run those major medical and ancillary carriers through us, we think that makes sense. And then maybe you want to slide down a little bit on that sheet, David?
Absolutely. And I would like to, big kudos to Lynn and KHI Solutions. KHI, at this point, is the only organization doing anything similar to what Lynn is just discussed with you regarding the actual study itself. And that is so forward-thinking, and I know based on what Lynn and KHI is attempting to do, they're attempting to arm you with as much information as possible on behalf of your clients so that you can do the type of work that your clients have hired you to do. And so Lynn, again, a big compliment to you and KHI for performing this program by providing assistance with the cost of the study. The actual Lindex online program that I provided that demonstration earlier to you, if an employer wishes to purchase that online directly without having going through an agent or a broker, the cost of that study or that benchmark application, which includes the benchmark, the Lindex score, and a copy of the study, it's $650. Well, the actual cost to you on behalf of your clients, and we actually have it broken down by the size, by the number of subscriptions or benchmarks. A subscription really is a benchmark. So if you purchase one benchmark, it would be $450. And but what we would do is we would look at the cost of these the number of these benchmarks purchased through KHI. And so if a number of benchmarks were purchased, maybe 10 of them, well, now the cost would drop down to $400 per benchmark. And so it gives you an idea that based on the volume purchased, there are breaks in the cost. And again, each benchmark or each subscription includes the actual benchmark, the Lindex score that's calculated on behalf of your client, and then a copy of the study. And that study, we would still put inside the inside cover your name, your client name, and the logo of KHI. Lynn, do you have any other anything else from this particular page that you would like to mention?
Yeah, I think so. So again, why would an agent work through KHI? Number one, we can get the per rate subscription can be lower because we'll consolidate all of the subscriptions purchased by any of our agents' clients over the year. So if you were to go direct to David, and you could, I just want you to know that, the complete transparency, go direct to David's website, and as an agent or broker, you would sign up with David. I mean, communicate with David, and he would sell you one of those subscriptions for $450, 1 through 5 and 6 through 20. I mean, this is for any agent or broker, but what we want to do here is, because KHI is willing to do the billing, we'll take care of all that for you. And so you'll have the flexibility to say, hey, Lynn, I want to order one of those for my client. You can pay for it, or you might want to go ahead and bill your client. So what we'd like to see here, not to confuse this too much, but let's just use that, I want to buy one subscription. Then you could say, well, I want to charge, and what we've put down some guidelines here, talked with Brenda, Nakia, and Tricia. The minimum that we would ask you to charge your client is, if it's $450, then $500. It would be the minimum that you need to charge your client. Why? Because we're going to be issuing an invoice to that client to charge them for that, okay? And then we'll collect that invoice for you, and then we'll do an 80-20 split over whatever that difference is between the $450 and the rate that you've wanted to charge your client. Technically, your client can't get it for any less than $650 unless they work through an agent. So you might want to say, I'm going to charge $500, but you could also say, I'm going to charge $600. And so you would say, I'm going to charge $600 because it's $50 less than what my client can get it online, because they could certainly do that. But with your assistance, the reason that David and I talked about this along with Brenda, Nakia, Tricia, is because there's a little bit of effort then, as you can tell, that we and you will put into this. We need to order it. We'll work with David, and we take care of all the billing, and then you would actually go online, and you could probably, if you'd like, then you help complete that questionnaire with your client so that you're giving them then the end result. That would be the study, the information. And then you can go back and like David said, we can slice and dice it any other way with that online tool. Remember now, we're talking about the online access so that you then obtain a Lindex score. And I told David earlier just how I'm tickled with the Lindex score because it's so creative. It takes David's last name, combines that with some kind of an index score, and made it the Lindex score. And I guess I liken it to the Nuval score. If anybody's gone to Hy-Vee and tried to decide, well, should I buy this brand or this brand? And as I look at that, I can get a value to help me make a good decision on what I should purchase. And so we're he's applied that same concept here, which is just, I think, just so brilliant. So as we continue to talk to our clients to say, hey, would you like to find out what your Lindex score is? And people will begin to start talking about this. And I think the other thing, David mentioned it earlier, but just because maybe you've attained a certain score one year, or you think you have good benefits this year, everything changes. The landscape continues to change. New benefits are offered. Anyway, so I just think I'd like to think that for those of you that are serious about competing and playing in this space, that this is your livelihood, this is going to, I think, allow you to take your game to the next level to be able to help your clients and realize the value that you bring to them. So this is going to help you retain and attract new business. Because how about calling up that prospect that you've been talking to and say, hey, has your current broker talked to you about your Lindex score? I mean, how about that one? And then let them pause and let them respond to that question. They most likely, unless they've already visited with David or know about it, but they're probably going to go, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then you can have an opportunity to talk to them about how you're helping other employers be competitive to help them in that whole battle with top talent. So anyway, I get excited about this, as you can tell, and I'm excited about our partnership with David. So I'll stop there, David, and see if there's anything else you want to add before we open it up to questions. We've got about 10 minutes left. So, yep.
Thank you, Lynn. You bring up a really good point, and here's the part that I haven't really stressed too much within my discussion this morning, and that is that the world continues to evolve in the benefits arena, and primarily the big reason why would be the Affordable Care Act. Let's face it, that has there is so much uncertainty that's really built into the healthcare world that we all live in now, the health insurance benefits that you offer to your clients, and the healthcare world itself. But and I think what this really does do is you're providing, whatever employers are looking for today, it's more clarity. And there's certainly a lot of things that all of us are we have a number of question marks about what does this mean for our clients? What does this mean for us? And I think this program does a very good job of providing additional clarity to your clients on how they compare to other employers. And you would be on the forefront of this very new and unique product to sit down with your clients and really consult with them and continue to show your added value, as Lynn had mentioned. And so what the three things that you would receive with the Lindex Online would be the benchmarking capabilities, and through the web-based tool that I just walked through, the Lindex score, and the annual study, as we had talked about. But the other value propositions that would be, I think, extremely important for you would be to retain existing clients and enhance revenue. You can do that, first of all, by reinforcing the client loyalty. This service would promote additional dialogue with each of your clients. You would begin to learn a little bit more about them, especially some of the benefits that you don't handle, but you're asking questions about what do you handle so that you can complete the questionnaire on their behalf. You become the local benefits expert by sharing your value-added knowledge using this fresh and relevant information. You can potentially add new benefit products because, again, as I indicated earlier, the client's Lindex score can help identify new revenue opportunities for your organization. If that client is kind of on the fence on whether or not to add a particular type of benefit, but then they realize that it does positively affect their Lindex score and their competitiveness, that can very well help you as well by adding new benefits to your client. It's an annual review. Every year, as I indicated with my own practice, clients will want and expect to receive revised benchmarks each year from you, and you would then share them with additional fresh information about what their Lindex score now looks like compared to what happened in the past year with other employers. And again, it just keeps you in front of your clients. And you would gain access to updated survey information from our annual Iowa Employer Benefits Study. In addition to the type of questions we ask about all the different benefits, we do ask new module questions regarding benefits or healthcare in general that can help inform you so that you can inform your clients. And we can talk more about that with any questions you might have. You can attract new clients by differentiating your service capabilities. Offering this product, you have the capacity to stand out from others who do not. And again, this is a very new product here in Iowa. You can expand your branding opportunities, include your trademark logo at the bottom of the benchmarks, and I'll have to look into that a little bit more about how we might be able to do that under the KHI umbrella. And it can also be provided in the annual report. And so the three considerations for the Lindex Online are that it's quick and easy, it's very consistent, and it's trusted. And those are the three things that I think that provide added credibility and more certainty, not only for you but also for your clients. And so with that in mind, I think what I'd like to do is close here and open it up to questions that you might have based on any of the information that we discussed this morning.
Great. Thanks, David. Well, I do have one. I'm going to try to unmute your microphone, Tammy, and see if you can get through here. And I've got you open, Tammy.
Oh, okay.
Good morning. You can ask your question. It sounds like there might be a little feedback there. Go ahead.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and mute
Tammy.
that. I thought your hand was raised. Okay, we'll see if there's, looks like there was no questions typed in at this time. give you just another moment before we wrap up here. So this is a new offering, obviously, through KHI for you guys on the online and Lindex Online. And I love what, everything that David's talking about here. So if we can, like, I'll call them, tease them with the branded study that you can give to them, and that begins to open the door to then talking about the Lindex Online. And David, one of the things maybe, would you be open if, I'll use Tammy as an example since I know she's on the call. If Tammy had a client and wanted some help to understand this or get a demonstration, are you willing to either go on site or do a remote webinar, kind of like we're doing today, to demonstrate the system to help an agent close that sale?
I would be more than happy to do any of that. In fact, I know of a few agents that have purchased blocks of benchmarks, and every once in a while I will get a phone call from an agent who would like to stop by my office, as an example, and walk through what their benchmark for a specific client, and they just want to make sure that they understand it. I am very open to helping you, the agent, do your best and understand this product the best that you can so that you can adequately share it with your client. And so please, there is no such thing as a dumb question unless it's, it hasn't been asked. And I want to make sure that it makes you successful on behalf of your client. So I'm open to any ideas that you might have to help you.
Great. Okay, I don't see any more questions, or any questions, I should say. And I guess with that, just with the couple minutes we have left, if there's anything else, David, that you want to add? Or Brenda, I'll just ask too. I know Brenda's on the call, or Nakia, if there's anything from the Fort Dodge office. I'm actually in our Des Moines office today.
I really don't have anything else, Lynn, other than, again, if anyone has questions, they can always contact me or send me an email, and I'm more than happy to clarify anything within this morning's program.
Yep, okay. All right, great. Well, yep, no other questions. Brenda, thank you that you don't have any questions from Fort Dodge either. And thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to talking to you all again real soon. And thanks a lot, David, for your presentation this morning.
Thank you, Lynn, and goodbye to all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.